Hello everyone. Today we are going to start a new chapter, that is elements of groups 16, 17 and 18. Now, as you have studied about groups 13, 14 and 15 in your 11th standard, this is much more similar to that. Okay, so you know that these groups from 13 to 18 are called as what? P block elements. So we'll be studying this in detail today. Okay, so to begin with, in p block elements, last electrons enters in the p orbital of the outermost shell. Therefore we call that thing as what? P block element. Similar to s block element, when the last electron enters the s block we call it as s block element. So similarly over here, when the last electrons enter the p orbital, we call it as p block elements. Now you know that in p orbital, maximum of 6 electrons can be accommodated. So there are groups 13 to 18. Okay, so in this chapter we are going to study about group 16, 17 and 18 in detail. So first we'll see the occurrence of group 16, 17 and 18. So to begin with, we'll start with group 16 elements. Group 16 elements, the first element over here is oxygen. So therefore it is called as oxygen family or chalcogens. Okay, so the members of this family are oxygen, sulfur, selenium, tellurium and polonium. So hopefully you'll understand that. What is that? Oxygen, sulfur, selenium, tellurium and polonium. Okay, now why we call oxygen family as chalcogens? The reason behind this thing is they are said to be ore forming elements. Therefore they are called as what? Chalcogens. And large member of, like for example, large number of metal ores are oxides or sulfides. Okay, so please do remember this thing. Now one by one we'll see the occurrence of each one in detail. Okay, so the first element of this family, that is oxygen, is most abundantly found, about 20 to 20.95% by volume of air and about 46.6% each by mass of earth crust. Okay, now next one, sulfur. Sulfur is 0.034% by mass of earth crust and mainly in combined forms as sulfates. Okay, so there are some compounds and formulas which you have to learn nicely. Okay, so first one is gypsum, that is calcium sulfate dot 2H2O. What is calcium sulfate? It is CaSO4 dot 2H2O. Okay, next one is Epsom salt, magnesium sulfate dot 7H2O. Magnesium sulfate, the formula is MgSO4. So Epsom salt is MgSO4 dot 7H2O. Next one is barite. It is barium sulfate, BaSO4. Okay, now and sulfides such as galena, zinc blende and copper pyrites are there. These are also ores. Okay, so galena is, the formula is PbS, zinc blende, the formula is ZnS, and copper pyrites, the formula is CuFeS2. Next one is selenium and tellurium. They are mainly found as metal selenites and tellurites in sulfide ores. And the last one of this family is polonium. It's a radioactive element and it is a decay product of thorium and uranium. Okay, now what I have written at the end is OSSETEPO. So I have written this symbolic form of the members of the element. So it will be very simple for you to just understand. O say TPO, that means oxygen, sulfur, selenium, tellurium and polonium. Okay, so at least make something and try to remember the elements. Okay, once you understand the members of this family, the atomic numbers, everything is very simple. Now next is group 17 elements. They are also called as halogens. Halogens meaning halo means salt and gene means bond. That is, salt producing elements are called as halogens. Okay, so now we'll understand the members of this halogen family. Okay, now first one is fluorine, next is chlorine, bromine, iodine, astatine. And halogens are said to be very reactive. Why? Because of their high electronegativity, and hence they are found in free state. They also occur in the form of compounds. So we'll see one by one in detail now. The first one is fluorine. Now fluorine is said to be present in insoluble fluorides, like for example fluorspar, that is the formula is CaF2. Please understand, whenever you learn the molecule, you have to learn the molecular formula as well. Okay, so fluorspar is CaF2, cryolite is Na3Al(F6), fluoraptite is 3Ca3PO4 twice dot CaF2. Okay, and the small quantities are present in soil, freshwater plants, bones and teeth of animals. Okay, now next one, in seawater, chlorides, bromides and iodides of sodium, potassium, magnesium and calcium are found. Next, in the deposits of dried up seabeds, NaCl and kernelite is found. That what is kernelite now? It is KCl.MgCl2.6H2O. And iodine is found in the marine life. Iodine is found in what? Marine life. Next, last one of this family is astatine. It is said to be the rarest naturally occurring element on earth. Understand? Astatine is the rarest naturally occurring element on earth, and it is a radioactive element. Okay, and it has a half-life of 8.1 hours. And as you can see at the end now, I have written the symbolic form of halogens, that is F for fluorine, Cl for chlorine, Br for bromine, I for iodine and At for astatine. So this also you can just remember. You can, if you want, you can just learn the first alphabets and remember, but you have to remember it nicely. Okay, so you can just say like fluorine CBI attack. What is that? Fluorine CBI attack. So it is fluorine, C for chlorine, B for bromine, I for iodine and attack is astatine. Okay, so now we'll see the group 18 elements. Next is group 18 elements. They are also called as noble gases or inert gases or zero group elements. Okay, now we'll see the members of this family. First one is helium, next is neon, then argon, next krypton, xenon and radon. Okay, so hopefully once again, helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon, radon. Now all noble gases except radon occur in the atmosphere. And next one, the commercial source of helium is natural gas. Helium and neon, they are found in minerals of radioactive origin, example pitchblende, monazite, cleveite. Next, xenon and radon are the rarest element of this group. And the last one, radon, is a decay product of radium. Understand? Radon is a decay product of radium. Radon is represented by Rn and radium is Ra. Okay, so please don't be confused between both the things. Okay, now as you can see that I have written the symbolic form of these elements. So first one, He stands for helium, Ne is neon, Ar is argon, Kr is krypton, Xc is xenon, and Rn is radon. Okay, now you can make anything out of this, like I'll say Hina or Karan, X rankers, so that it becomes easier for you to learn the elements in group 18. Okay, and please understand, you have to learn the names of all this group so that it becomes easier for you to learn the atomic numbers. So once the elements are done, atomic number is very simple to remember. Okay, so next we'll understand the general electronic configuration of group 16, 17 and 18. So the general electronic configuration of group 16 elements is ns2np4. Okay, so to understand this thing, it is very simple. Now you know which is the first element of group 16. So it is oxygen. So if you just write down the electronic configuration of oxygen, that is 1s2, 2s2, 2p4. Okay, so you just have to see the highest principal quantum number. So that is 2 over here, 2s2, 2p4. Okay, so I can just say it will be ns2 np4. Why I am writing it as n over here? Because down the group only the principal quantum number will change. Okay, so please understand this thing. Okay, now next, group 17 elements, similar to that thing, the first element for group 17 is fluorine. So I will write down 1s2, 2s2, 2p5. Okay, so highest principal number is 2. So for that thing, what will be there in the last shell? It is 2s2, 2p5. So I can write it as ns2 np5. Okay, so if you just see the electronic configuration of other elements in the group, at the end it will be 3s2, 3p5, 4s2, 4p5. Therefore we write down the general electronic configuration of group 17 as ns2 np5. Last one, group 18 elements, similar to that thing. First element, if I want to write down, I will write down that. Okay, so helium, it is 1s2, so that is a duplicate thing. So I'll write down for neon and C. Okay, when I write down for neon, it is what? 2s2, 2p6. Okay, it is 2s2, 2p6, that is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6. Okay, now again the highest principal number is 2 over here. So therefore we'll write down it as what? ns2 np6. So hopefully you understood all the elements now, all the electronic configuration. Okay, now next we'll see the condensed electronic configuration of all the elements in group 16, 17 and 18. So to understand about condensed electronic configuration, first we have to know that what is the nearest inert gas which comes just before that element. Okay, so like for example, if I'll just explain for the first group, that is for group 16. Now if I want to write down the condensed electronic configuration of oxygen, I have to understand before this thing which is a noble gas which comes. You can just see in group 18 it is helium. Like next element, sulfur, before that thing which noble gas element comes? It is neon. Similarly for selenium, the nearest noble gas is argon, and for tellurium the nearest noble gas is krypton, and for polonium the nearest noble gas is xenon. Okay, so by using that thing it becomes simple for us to write down the electronic configuration. Okay, now we also know the general electronic configuration. Like for group 16 it is ns2 np4. So if I want to write down for the first group element, that is for group 16 element, now I know which is the noble gas in each case. So oxygen, it is I'll start with helium. So it is helium, I'll write down helium in square bracket and I'll write down 2s2 2p4, and I'll for the next element I'll just change the inert gas and the principal quantum number. So sulfur, it will be neon 3s2 3p4. For selenium, it is argon 3d10 4s2 4p4. Now please understand, for first two elements for all the groups there is no need of writing d orbital, but after that two elements are written, you have to introduce what, like you have to introduce the d orbital there. Okay, so please understand that thing, it is very simple. Now the normal, it will be argon 4s2 4p4. So once I introduced 3d orbital, it will be always n minus 1 d orbital. Okay, so understand, so it will be argon n minus 1, n is 4, so 4 minus 1 is 3, so therefore I will write down here 3d10 4s2 4p4. Similarly for tellurium, it will be krypton Kr n minus 1d, so n over here is 5, so it will be 4d10 5s2 5p4. Last one polonium, for last thing f orbital is also there. When you write down the normal electronic configuration of all the elements in this group, you will understand that for selenium tellurium there are d orbitals, and for polonium there are d as well as f orbitals. So how we represent this thing, it is very simple. Xenon 4f, it will be n minus 2 f orbital, n minus 1 d orbital, and n s2 np4. So it will be 4f14 5d10 6s2 6p4. Hopefully you understood this thing. Similar way you are going to write down for group 17 and group 18 elements. And one more thing, now if I want to write down the electronic configuration, I should know the atomic number so that it becomes easier for me. Okay, now oxygen is 8, first element you have to understand. Okay, so I have like BC I start from what, it starts from B for boron, B C for carbon, N for nitrogen. Okay, so BCNO for oxygen. So I start from B is 5, so B is 5, boron is 5, C is carbon, that is 6, nitrogen is 7, oxygen is 8, BC. So I know the first element of group 16 is oxygen, that is 8. So to write down the next element of group 16, that is sulfur, I'll just add plus 8 to 8. So it will be 8 plus 8 is 16. So sulfur, the atomic number is 16. So next, if I want to find for selenium, I have to add plus 18. Okay, so the atomic number for selenium will be 16 plus 18. So it will be 34. Similar way for the next one, tellurium, it will be again plus 18. So it becomes 52. And for polonium, it is plus 32. It will be 84. Okay, so hopefully you understood how to write down the atomic number. It is very simple. If you know first element, the atomic number is known, then everything is very simple. You just have to go on adding this factor what is written on the left hand side for each group. Like for example, we'll see for group 17. Group 17, fluorine is 9. So I add plus 8. So 9 plus 8, it becomes 17 for chlorine. Next, for bromine, I have to add plus 18. So 17 plus 18 will be 35. Next, for iodine, I have to add plus 18 again. So it will be 35 plus 18, it becomes 53. And for the last one, I have to add plus 32. So it will be 53 plus 32, it will be 85 for astatine. Okay, so similar way you can do for group 18 elements. So hopefully you understood how to write down the condensed electronic configuration, the atomic numbers. Okay, it is very simple, but it is very important that you should know at least this thing in the periodic table. Okay, next we'll understand about the atomic properties of group 16, 17 and 18. Okay, so the first property is atomic and ionic radii. So first we'll understand what is atomic and ionic radii. Atomic radii is the distance from the nucleus to the normal valence electron, and ionic radii is the distance from nucleus to outermost electrons in an ion. Okay, so as we have seen the atomic numbers of each one of each of the groups, you know that down the group what happens, the atomic number increases, right? If atomic number increases, what will happen? Shells will be added up. So we can say atomic and ionic radii increases down the group due to the increase in the number of quantum shells. Okay, and across the period what happens? The electrons is added in the same shell. As a result, there is decrease in the atomic and ionic radii. So across the period, the atomic and ionic radii decreases with increasing atomic number due to the increase in the effective nuclear charge. Now what happens? For example, if the electrons are added in the same shell, so what happens? The nuclear charge affected or the felt by the last electron will be more. That means there will be shrinkage of the atom. Therefore, that means it won't be a drastic, but it will have slight shrinkage in its size. Therefore, we say across the period, the atomic as well as the ionic radii decreases slightly with increase in the atomic number. Okay. So, group 17 elements have the smallest atomic radii in their respective periods. Okay. Second property is ionization enthalpy. Now first we'll understand what is ionization enthalpy. It is the energy required to remove an electron from a neutral atom. So once again, what is that? It is the energy required to remove an electron from a neutral atom. So what they have? High ionization enthalpy. Okay, that means group 16, 17 and 18 elements have high ionization enthalpy. Okay, now I have represented ionization enthalpy as IE. Okay, so IE decreases down the group due to the increase in the atomic size. Obviously, what will happen? As the atomic size increases, the nuclear charge felt by the last electron will be less. As a result, less energy is needed to remove that electron from the outermost shell. Okay, so that is the logic behind understanding ionization enthalpy. That means the trend of ionization enthalpy in the group and in the period. Okay, so size increases, nuclear charge felt by the last electron is less. Therefore, down the group, the ionization enthalpy decreases. Okay, now next one. Across a period, ionization enthalpy increases with increase in the atomic number. Why? Because the electrons are added in the same shell, and as a result, what happens? Across the period, the atomic size decreases. If the atomic size decreases, the nuclear charge felt by the last electron will be more. Okay, therefore, what happens? The ionization enthalpy increases across the period. Okay, now last one, the ionization enthalpy of group 16 is less than the ionization enthalpy of group 15. So as we have seen now, across the period, the ionization enthalpy should increase, but over here group 16 is having less ionization enthalpy as compared to group 15. Now what is the reason behind this thing? Because of the extra stable half filled electronic configuration of p orbitals in elements of group 15. That means we have seen the condensed electronic configuration of group 16 is ns2 np4. Okay, and in case of group 15 it is ns2 np3. np3, total number of electrons which can be accommodated in p orbital is 6. So it is half filled. p3 is half filled. Therefore they are having extra stability. That's the reason why ionization enthalpy of group 16 is less as compared to the ionization enthalpy of group 15. Okay, that means to remove the stable electron it requires much more energy. Okay, so hopefully it is cleared now. Next property is electronegativity. First we'll understand about electronegativity. So it is the measure of the tendency of an atom to attract a bonding pair of electrons, or I can say it is the ability of the atom to attract the shared pair of electron towards itself. So whenever I talk about electronegativity, I should remember that I am talking about a bonded pair of electrons. Okay, only one electron I cannot talk about that, only one atom I cannot talk about that. When it is bonded with some other atom or the element, I can talk about the electronegativity. Okay, so we'll see. It is said that electronegativity decreases down the group. Now for your understanding, you just remember this. Fluorine is said to be the most electronegative atom in the whole periodic table. Now understand where fluorine is located. Okay, now fluorine is placed in the top right corner of the periodic table. Where it is placed? Top right corner of the periodic table. So I know as a position says it is at the top, that means it down the group what will happen? The electronegativity will decrease, and across the period the electronegativity will increase. And it is also said that compared to other elements, halogens have high electronegativity. Now what is the logic behind that? Now understand, halogens have 7 electrons in their outermost shell. That means it require only 1 electron to be stable. Okay, so what will happen if it is bonded with some other element? It is easier for them to just pull 1 electron from the other atom to be stable. Okay, so that is what electronegativity is. So now we'll just understand about each of the points. Hopefully it is understood. You just have to remember about fluorine and you can just tell the trends easily. Okay, so first point, electronegativity decreases down the group. Oxygen has the highest electronegativity next to fluorine. That means first the most electronegative atom will be fluorine, second will be oxygen. Okay, now next, halogens have very high electronegativity, and as I told you, fluorine is the most electronegative atom in the periodic table. Please do remember this. Okay, now next property is electron gain enthalpy. So first we'll understand about electron gain enthalpy. So it is the amount of energy released when an electron is added to an isolated gaseous atom. Okay, so obviously electron gain enthalpy, it is represented by negative sign. Okay, so we'll just see first one. In group 16 and 17, electron gain enthalpy become less negative down the group. Okay, now next point, in group 16, oxygen has less negative electron gain enthalpy than sulfur. Why it is so? Because of the small atomic size. Normally the trend is what? Down the group it becomes less. The electron gain enthalpy, the negative, it becomes less, right? But over here in group 16, oxygen has less negative electron gain enthalpy as compared to sulfur. The reason behind that thing is because of the small atomic size. Similar way, in group 17, fluorine has less negative electron gain enthalpy than chlorine. Why? Because of the small atomic size. And Last one, group 18 elements, there is no tendency to accept electrons. Okay, understand, electron gain enthalpy is the amount of energy released when an electron is added. In group 18 elements, electrons are not being added. Therefore, we say no tendency to accept electrons. They are having stable electronic configuration, that is ns2 np6. So they have large positive electron gain enthalpy. Hopefully you understood this thing. Next, we'll see the physical properties of group 16, 17 and 18 elements. So first we'll begin with group 16 elements. So hopefully you remember what is group 16 elements. They are nothing but the oxygen family. Okay. So first one, the state of each of the element. Oxygen is a gas, while the other elements are solids at room temperature. Next point, oxygen and sulfur are nonmetals, selenium and tellurium are metalloids, and polonium is a metal. And polonium is said to be radioactive and has a half-life of 13.8 days. Next point, melting and boiling point increases with increasing atomic number, and group 16 elements exhibit allotropy. This we'll see afterwards in detail. Okay, so hopefully you understood all the physical properties. It is very simple. Oxygen gas, rest all solids. Oxygen, sulfur non-metal, selenium, tellurium metalloids, polonium is a metal. With the increasing atomic number, melting and boiling point increases and they exhibit allotropy. Okay. Next we learn about the physical properties of group 17 elements. So you know that group 17 elements are also called as halogen. So they are halogen family. You know what are the elements which comes in halogen family. So first we'll see the states of each member of halogen family. So fluorine and chlorine are gases in nature. Bromine is liquid in nature. Iodine is solid. And now we'll understand about the color of each halogen. Fluorine is yellow in color. Chlorine is greenish yellow in color. Bromine is red in color. Iodine is violet in color. Now we'll understand the reactivity with water. So fluorine and chlorine reacts nicely with water. That means it is soluble in water. Bromine and iodine are sparingly soluble in water. That means it is not nicely soluble in water. It is soluble in organic solvents such as chloroform, carbon disulfide, carbon tetrachloride, hydrocarbons, which give colored solutions. Okay, and the last point, bond dissociation enthalpies of halogen molecules. So first we'll understand what is bond dissociation enthalpy. It is the energy required to break the bond. What is that? Bond dissociation enthalpy is the amount of energy required to break the bond. Now as you can see the order, we can say that chlorine, the bond dissociation enthalpy is very much high, and for iodine the bond dissociation enthalpy is comparatively the least among the halogens. Now we have to understand the reason behind that. The reason behind that thing is, down the group what will happen, the size goes on increasing, and what will happen, the nuclear charge affected by the last electron or the last shell is less. Okay, as a result it will easily break. That means it is not tightly bonded with other iodine atom. So that is the reason behind the bond dissociation enthalpy. Now as you can see that normally the trend should be fluorine should be the highest. That means it should require the maximum energy to break the bond. But here it is kept in the second last position. Now what is the reason behind that thing? The reason behind this thing is the fluorine atom, the size is very small. As a result, repulsive force will be there between the electrons of two fluorine atom. So this is the reason behind fluorine having less bond dissociation enthalpies than chlorine and bromine. So hopefully you understood this thing. Next, we'll understand about the group 18 elements. As you know, group 18 elements are also called as noble gases or inert gases. That means they don't react much with other elements. Okay, so now we'll see the properties of group 18 elements. They are said to be monoatomic. Now hopefully you understood why it is monoatomic, because it doesn't react with any other elements. Second, sparingly soluble in water. Third, they have low melting and boiling point. And the last one, helium has the lowest boiling point of 4.2 Kelvin of any known substances. Okay, so if it is ours which is having the lowest boiling point, helium is a substance which has the lowest boiling point. Now, as you have seen, the third point, it is written as low melting and boiling point. So we'll understand why it is having low melting and boiling point. As you know, noble gases are monoatomic in nature. The only type of interatomic interaction which exists between them will be the van der Waals forces of attraction. Therefore, they can be liquefied at very low temperatures and have very low melting or boiling point. Hopefully, it is clear. Now, we'll see the next topic, that is anomalous behavior of oxygen. It is very important. So first we'll understand what do you mean by anomalous behavior. Now it is said that oxygen is having anomalous behavior as compared to the other members of oxygen family. That means oxygen, the properties shown by oxygen will be different as compared to the members of the family. That means it deviates from the normal trend which is shown by oxygen family. So the first point is atomicity. Atomicity is the number of atoms in the molecules of an element. So the atomicity for oxygen is diatomic, while for other it is polyatomic. Second one, magnetic property. Oxygen is said to be paramagnetic in nature, while others are diamagnetic in nature. The oxidation states, oxygen shows -2, -1 and +2 oxidation states, while others show -2, +2, +4, +6 oxidation state. Now we'll understand why oxygen cannot show higher oxidation state. The reason behind that thing is because of the absence of vacant d orbitals. What is the reason? Oxygen don't have any d orbitals. It has only s and p orbital. Okay, next point, nature of hydrides. The hydrides of oxygen are liquid, while the hydrides of other members are gases. And the last point, covalency. Oxygen, the covalency is 2. Rare cases it is 4. Other members, the covalency can exceed 4. So now we will see the reason behind the anomalous behavior of oxygen. The first reason is small atomic size. Second one is high electronegativity, and the last one is absence of inner d orbitals. Next one, we'll understand the reason of anomalous behavior of fluorine. Similar to oxygen, fluorine is the first member of the halogen family. Okay, so why does it show anomalous behavior? Because of first one, the small atomic size. Second one, the high electronegativity. Third one, the absence of d orbitals in valence shell. And the last one, low fluorine bond dissociation enthalpy. Okay, so now we'll see the properties of fluorine, the anomalous properties of fluorine. So the properties are ionization enthalpy, electronegativity, electrode potential are higher for fluorine. Second one, the ionic and covalent radii, melting point, boiling point and electron gain enthalpy are quite lower than expected. Third point, most of the reaction shown by fluorine is exothermic. This is due to the short and strong bond formed by it with other elements. Okay. The fourth point is it forms only one oxo acid, that is HOF, while other halogens form a number of oxo acids. Last one, hydrogen fluoride is liquid and has a boiling point of 293 Kelvin. This is because of the strong hydrogen bonding, while other hydrogen halides are gases in nature. So hopefully you understood this thing. Next time we are going to start with the chemical properties of elements of group 16, 17 and 18. Okay then, bye.